And so my confession, as I sort of open this conversation up on brokenness, is that I'm a functional Christian Gnostic, that I have over-identified the divinity of Christ as I look to the person of Jesus, and that I've not understood the humanity of Christ as an invitation to explore my own humanity. I've looked at something that is very divine, and I've looked at something that is very human, and I've not been able to see the spiritual intersection that connects the two. So what's Gnosticism, right? Gnosticism was a Near East philosophy that translated Platonic dualism, that looked at those things that were material and decided they were inferior, and then opted towards knowledge as it was spiritualized as the only thing that was good. So here comes John, right? The gospel writer, St. John. And the very first line of the Gospel of John, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. John is starting to pick a fight with Gnosticism. John is starting to say, you know what? There's this heresy that's creeping up into the church, and we need to name it. Now, when John names the Word and associates the Word in the incarnation of Christ, John is doing something really interesting here. Genesis 1:1 and John 1:1 are holding one another in tension, aren't they? John's going back to the very beginning of Scripture, which also starts with the exact same phrase, in the beginning. God created the heavens and the earth. John 1:1, in the beginning the Word was with God and the Word was God, right? John is saying, hey, let's not forget that God created the heavens. Yes, that was divine. That was good. But God also created the earth, and that also was good. In that, there's a recovery. In that, there's a reminder. And in that, there is an interruption in human history where Jesus comes and Jesus says, I will restore what was broken in history. Reinhold Niebuhr talks about the doctrine of original righteousness. You know, I have no framework for that in my Christian experience because I over-identify myself with the doctrine of original sin. I'm messed up. I'm broken. But before sin malformed human identity, Adam and Eve lived in harmony with God. When God created humanity, God said, this is good, this is very good. And when I look at my own humanity, I don't see the goodness in it. I'm conflicted. And so here comes the interruption in history, the incarnation, the recovery of what was good. And Jesus then embodies that. Jesus embodies that by submitting himself to the sacrament of baptism. It's crazy. Why would Jesus need to be baptized? Really? As he's being baptized, Jesus says, this is necessary to do this to fulfill righteousness. Because Christ is not only critiquing and inviting a restoration of what's broken in us because of the doctrine of original sin, but Christ is reminding us that in baptism, there is a memory, a remembering, a recovering of righteousness. The righteousness that existed between Adam and Eve and God before the deformation.